Have you got any weird or superstitious rules around reading and books? Well, here are mine. Hello Space Cats, it's me Jules again, and I really have to tell you the weird things I do with books and reading and my quirky habits around making books. Here's the first subject. We call it number 1. And this is the one I really wanted to talk about. I call it my 50-page rule. When I was about 25 years old, I decided I needed a rule to keep my life in order. I used to be married to a man who isn't my husband. That's to say, he's not my current and most long-standing husband. And this previous gentleman used to like to get his teeth into some really hefty novels. You know, this sort of thing. Love in the Time of Cholera, Ulysses, War and Peace, that kind of thing. At times I would start a book that he recommended and grit my teeth till the very end, hating every moment. I needed a way out. So here's what I do with novels. I give a book 50 pages. If at that 50-page mark it hasn't impressed me, I don't like the characters or the plot is annoying, I ditch it with no remorse or embarrassment. I decided life is too short to read books I don't like, and I could be spending that time reading books I do like. I have recently just done that with a book. It was something that I needed to read for work, and my friend loved it. I'm afraid I got to the first 50 pages and I found the characters quite annoying and the plot was just a bit ploddy, so I gave it up. But my friend was absolutely adamant that it was such a good book. The themes were brilliant and the ending was great, so I really needed to give it another go. And I had a free credit on Audible that I'd also had to get for a work thing. So I listened to it, and guess what? I still hated it. Having said that, husband number 1 bought me The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Now, I'm afraid that I read the first 50 pages and I didn't like it and I gave it up. And then about a year later, I was listening to Book at Bedtime on Radio 4 and heard the very last chapter. Thought it was brilliant! I really wish I'd enjoyed it a bit more to start with so that I'd read the whole thing because the ending was fantastic. I write in books. I know. Please don't leave me horrible comments. But I figured it's my book. It maybe one day might make its way into somebody else's hands, but for the time being, it's mine and I will do with it as I wish. And actually, sometimes if I'm doing studying or if I particularly need to know where something is, or there's something of real note that I want to come back to at some point, I don't think there's any harm in highlighting things or writing in things. When I did an A-level in English literature a few years ago, because I'd failed it at school, I needed to do lots of writing in pencil in the margins and underline things, and I found that really useful, and sticking post-it notes in as well. Oh, and another thing, and please don't shoot me, but sometimes if I haven't got a bookmark, I might bend the page over. It's fine, it's my book. I wouldn't do it with a library book and I wouldn't do it with one of your books, I promise. As previously discussed in this video, I am unable to go into a bookshop and come out without buying something. I have tried many times. Sometimes I am going in not because I need to buy a book for a present or myself or browse or, I've got 5 minutes so I need to do something. I just go into a bookshop. No. Sometimes I am going in for a very specific and different reason, like having a meeting with somebody. But still, like a siren on a rocky outcrop, I get wooed by the promise of lands between the covers. And that brings me on to... The saying is, never judge a book by its cover. And yet, we all do. That is the point of cover designs, to give you a clue, to give you a signpost, to tell you a little bit about the book. So yes, sometimes I buy a book because I love the cover. And with children's books, it's much easier to love the covers because they are so fantastic. Over the last few decades, it has become increasingly obvious to publishers that the illustrations and the designs of front covers are really important to get children to engage with a book. Designs are aimed at them and me. I admit it, I am a cover junkie. This one is about when I am working on a book. I find I really need to work on something from start to finish to make my own life easier. Once I have an idea in my head, I need to make sure I am running with it before it just disappears from me and lands on somebody else, or just fades away. Ideas have energy and sometimes they can run out of it. Admittedly, due to work and family commitments, that doesn't always happen. I have a great idea for my next book, and it's been in my head for the last year, maybe coming up to. It's somewhat in my head and it's somewhat written down. I've had to do that because I'm still working on Vincent and the Mermaid and making YouTube videos, and I've also had another major project that I've been working on. But every now and then I go into my mind palace and I give it a bit of a poke to see if it's still there and still okay. So far, so good. The alternative to running with an idea and working on it consistently is I sometimes get overwhelmed with the urge to complete housework tasks, or maybe picking all the fluff off of my sweaters, or taking the silicone off the shower cubicle and completely redoing it for no good reason. I believe they call this procrastination. Ugh. But maybe it can be quite useful. I find it can give me time to mull things over, to ignite the creativity in the project that at the moment the flame is just little. Either that or I just need to stop mucking around and get on with it. Finally, my last weird rule about writing is I need silence. If I'm working with words, I can't have other words knocking around my space. I can't have someone talking in the background. I can't listen to the radio. I couldn't have the TV on. Can't even listen to music. I find it so distracting. Now, for example, when I wrote the script for this video, I was actually sitting in my sister's little woodland hideaway, and the only thing I could hear for miles around was the twittering of birds. And thankfully they weren't twittering in English, so it didn't matter. Hey folks, if you are as excited about books and art as I am, then you might be interested in these courses that will teach you what I know. Make a picture book step by step will help you go about writing, illustrating and publishing your own picture book. It's a comprehensive course, starting with making your key decisions and takes you all the way to making your print-ready copy. Do you need to know how to draw children, or dragons, or sea creatures? These shorter classes will help you do just that. Pop over to my website and see what's on offer. Go on, give it a go. Next week I will be looking at how to paint spring weather. You know, the sort of rainy, haily, cloudy, sunny, baking hot, snowy, windy, you know, all the easy stuff. I'm off to move a moose. I will see you next week. Nano, nano.